The Eagles are the healthiest they've been basically the entire year heading into Sunday's matchup against the 49ers. Some crazy 49er fans defile the Rocky statue going into Sunday's game, and Philadelphia needs these two very important players to come up big for a win. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Saturday, getting you ready for the Eagles and 49ers matchup coming up in really less than 24 hours. I get on a plane tomorrow morning. I fly to Philadelphia, Uber to Lincoln Financial Field. I'll be in the stands cheering. You better bet I'm going to be as loud as humanly possible. We'll start with some good news and then move over to some funny stuff that happened this week in Philadelphia. It looks like the injury report is solid. Avonte Maddox is going to play. And what's crazy is that everybody's going to play. I mean, besides a couple of injuries in terms of like Derek Barnett and Sean Bradley and Aaron Siposs, they're 100% healthy. 22 of their 22 starters are all activated and are all going to go ahead and play. And what's crazy, there's actually no designation for Avonte Maddox at all. He wasn't even limited or even on the final injury report. Philadelphia, look at this. NA on their Friday injury report. Everybody's healthy. Everybody is good to go. Doesn't mean nobody is a little bit banged up. Come on. This is like week 21 for some of these players. It's not necessarily that they're not 100% healthy, but they are all going to play, and that is what is super important for Philadelphia. Now, San Francisco, they're going to be looking pretty good, right? Christian McCaffrey, he's listed without a game status, practiced fully on Friday according to Bleeding Green Nation. We don't know how close he is to 100%, but you go back and watch the film last week, they did not use him as much as they normally would. Elijah Mitchell is going to be very, very interesting. Here's what Bleeding Green Nation said about him. Quote, Mitchell, who led the 49ers in rushing last week, is officially questionable to play after failing to practice this week. Even if he's able to play, seems like he'll be well below 100% right now. Not ideal for San Francisco. Their top two backups are banged up. Backup cornerback Ambry Thomas, who ranked 4th in the 49ers in special teams tackles, is also questionable to play after being limited in practice all week. Final note here for the 49ers, Debo and Charles Omenihu are both noted without game statuses, meaning they will go ahead and obviously be fine to play this week. Garoppolo is out, just in case there was any sort of Brock Purdy meltdown, they wanted to come back to Jimmy Garoppolo. That is not going to go ahead and be the case. So Philadelphia, very much the healthier team going into this matchup. Thumbs up for that. That is very good news, as it's not going to come down to is Christian McCaffrey hurt or not in the end, but it does help that the Eagles are a little bit less banged up than the 49ers. Speaking of the 49ers and Eagles, the FanDuel new customer no sweat bets guarantee right here is incredible. You bet $5, you get back $150 in free bets guaranteed. I mean, it's the easiest way to jump in to the NFL playoffs with our friends at FanDuel. It is America's #1 sportsbook, and I do have a link down below right now. If you feel good about Philadelphia, I think Philadelphia, not only money line, if you want to go Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown, that could be the first touchdown of the game. A lot of really fun bets out there. Jump into the betting game with FanDuel. Again, this could be Philadelphia's last game. Probably not, but it could be, and so you want to jump into this deal on my channel right now down below. Just create an account, be in a betting state, be over 21, and then, of course, you get back $150 in bonus bets, win or lose, when you place that first bet. Okay, I want to quickly go ahead and mention this. This is pretty dumb, but it is worth mentioning. Dov Kleiman has this tweet on his Twitter account. Hashtag 49ers fans place Niners gear on the statue of Rocky in Philadelphia. And you go, oh my goodness, that's insane. They're trolling Eagle fans. But then you realize that hasn't worked out well for previous teams. They put a Kayvon Thibodeau picture on Rocky, and they got killed. Remember the Viking stuff on Rocky? They got absolutely obliterated. How about Tom Brady's jersey on Rocky? I lost that one as well. So good omen there in terms of defiling the famous Rocky statue at the steps of the Philadelphia Museum of Art. It looks like the Eagles are going to win big tomorrow if you obviously are a little bit superstitious. Okay, I do want to go ahead and wrap up today's show by mentioning who I think are the two most important players going into tomorrow's matchup. Now, there are tons of important players on both sides, but when talking about Philadelphia, to me it's going to come down to two main players dominating and being the dominant selves that they have been all year long in order for Philadelphia to not only win, but win comfortably. I've said multiple times this week, I think Philly wins pretty comfortably. Now, it might be a little nervous start. You might have some nice drives from Brock Purdy, but I'm predicting Brock Purdy throws a couple of picks. The pass rush is really good, and Jalen Hurts is Jalen Hurts. And that's all you basically need to win this football game. Philadelphia is better on paper than almost every single position group the 49ers have, minus probably linebacker and I guess running back, but CMC's not 100% healthy. So I think Philadelphia is going to be just fine. Now, the two players, one from defense, one from offense, let's start with Haason Reddick. Reddick, to me, is the difference maker. It's not a shock to go ahead and say that, but he's definitely playing with a little bit more motivation, a little more of a chip on his shoulder because no one respects this guy. It's absolutely insane. I mean, look what Bleeding Green Nation wrote about him just the other day. Quote, Haason Reddick, an impact player on the Eagles defense, finished the regular season tied for second in the league with 16 sacks. He also tied the NFL in forced fumbles with 5. Those are not numbers to go ahead and slouch about, yet no one outside of Philadelphia even talks about Haason Reddick. Despite his insane production, he was not named a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. Instead, 49ers defensive end Nick Bosa, Dallas Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons, and Kansas City Chiefs D-tackle Charles Jones were the 3 picks. Someone please make it make sense. And Reddick had a tweet earlier this week, at some point this bleep's gotta stop. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And also, here's a really interesting tweet here that I think is absolutely fascinating. Quote, he's fresh. He's ready to go. He's unstoppable. He only had 1.5 sacks against the Giants. Could he have more? Like he had 7 total pressures on 24 pass rush snaps in that game. Crazy efficient. The same amount of pressure that the Giants had as a team collectively out of 19 players that played on defense. He's performing at a different level right now. I think this is a massive, massive key for Brock Purdy. Purdy's gotten a little bit of pressure over the first couple of starts for the last couple of games, but not a ton. Let's see Brock Purdy in the buzzsaw that is Lincoln Financial Field with this pass rush, with Haason Reddick burrowing down on him with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Let's see the Mr. Irrelevant 7th-round draft pick actually come out and beat this defense. I just don't think he can. I truly do not. Now, here's your offensive player. Now, you could say Jalen Hurts. You could say Dallas Goedert. You could say the Eagle offensive line. You could say a lot of offensive players. I'm going to 100% go with A.J. Brown, and Bleeding Green Nation agrees with me on this one. I think Brown is due for a breakout game. He really didn't do much against the Giants, seemingly frustrated due to the fact that he wasn't getting as many targets. This, to me, could be the A.J. Brown game, where you go out and prove why you were worth a first-round draft pick, why it was idiotic of the Titans to not go ahead and re-sign you. Maybe it's 10 for $150 and 2 touchdowns. That's the kind of line I'm looking at here for A.J. Brown. How about this? This is from BGN. Quote, don't you feel like Brown is due for a big game after only having 3 catches for 22 yards last weekend? Brown gave the 49ers problems as a member of the Tennessee Titans during the 2021 season. He saw 16 targets for 11 receptions, 145 yards, and 1 touchdown in a win over Bram. And like then, Brown will have the luxury of going up against a washed Josh Norman, will not have the luxury of going against a washed Josh Norman and backup rookie Ambry Thomas this week, but he will have much better complementary cast than he did in that scenario. 49ers don't have to worry about Derrick Henry in that game since he was injured. They still have to account for the Eagles' running game. 49ers didn't have to worry about receiving options outside of Brown, considering the top alternatives were cooked Julio Jones and Nick Westbrook. I don't even know who that guy is. They will have to account for Avonte Smith and Goddard. Having recently rewatched Brown's performance against the 49ers in that game, it looks like he rose to the challenge of playing a tough defense. As a physical player himself, he wanted to get out alpha. He wanted to out alpha the competition. The Eagles traded away what it took to get Brown paid and paid him to show up like this in a big game. Time for him to deliver, end quote. I think he does. I think it's a big Brown day. I think Reddick gets 3 sacks, one of which could be a strip sack. Whether they recover it or not remains to be seen. And I think the Birds fly all the way to another Super Bowl, getting ready for Super Bowl 57. Seemingly, we were just in a Super Bowl, and yet this franchise is one of the best in the entire National Football League, if not the best in the NFC. They're going to be back again tomorrow. I feel very confident in that. Thumbs up if you guys are excited. Subscribe to the show. I'm going to do a post-game show tomorrow. Leaving the link, win or lose, I will do a post-game show, so be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be ready for that. Fly, Eagles, fly. I'll be at the link tomorrow. Look for me. Scream my heads off. We'll see you guys after the Eagles get a big win.